People who smoke weed are already high in toxic heavy metals. There's very few people who are smoking weed. They have a need for weed. If they have a need for weed, they're high in toxic heavy metals. So then they're smoking or using weed or eating weed or however, some new way of taking weed comes into town, whatever it is, they're adding on to their heavy metals. So the metals that they're getting from their weed is actually going into the metals, is mixing into the metals that are in their brain, and it's adding to it. So they're smoking weed and it's kind of dumbing down their pain and sorrow. And then the weed wears off and then boom, they're back to square one. You got to smoke the weed again, dumbs down the pain and sorrow, back to square one. Urine fertilizer that basically runs the gamut of the weed industry is highly toxic and filled with toxic heavy metals. It's not just filled with some syphilis here and there. It's not just filled with some Epstein-Barr here and there. It's not just filled with a little gonorrhea. It's not just filled with a little chlamydia. It's not just filled with some shingles, and it's not just filled with some strep. It's not just filled with some staph or some serious antibiotic resistant MRSA and strep and C. diff. It's not just filled with that goes into those vats, because that's what the urine all has in it, and that all goes into the ground there to grow your weed. It's not just that. It's filled with toxic heavy metals and so many other different toxins and poisons, and so that's how the weed industry works. Why does weed give so many people panic attacks and anxiety? It's toxic to the brain. That's a big one right there. So many people that tried weed and it gave them panic attacks. It made them not feel good in so many ways, because toxic heavy metals like mercury, aluminum, copper, all of that, lead, everything that's inside our brains, when we have too much of it patched out in different areas, too much of it in different places in the brain, what happens, we start getting depression, we start getting the depersonalization, we start getting the anxiety attacks. And yes, you can have pathogens involved. Pathogens love metals, and you can have a combination of both. But what I'm trying to tell you is the bipolar, the schizophrenia, the depression, the sadness, all of the above and more, okay? Emotional, not feeling good, feeling bad, feeling unwell, feeling sick in any way, plus people who are suffering too in different ways, not just emotionally and mentally, but physically, and they smoke weed to try to curve everything, curve the emotional pain, curve the mental pain and physical pain to some degree. They're high in toxic heavy metals. People who smoke weed are already really high in toxic heavy metals. CBD, remember how big it was? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so it died. It's still out there. People are still there, but it died. Here's right here. Healing with Holly it says, CBD did nothing but make my anxiety worse. And it does. Sometimes it makes people delusional. Sometimes CBD makes their anxiety much worse, throws them into mania, throws them into all kinds of crap. But guess what doesn't? The right kind of GABA. GABA is a beautiful thing. You guys, have you ever tried GABA? Have you tried the Bimergy GABA? GABA is a big deal. It is a game changer, because it's a game changer for real. Not an owner of Bimergy has said that a million times. And people need to understand, but I do endorse them for a reason. This stuff is that incredible. They use the flax glycerin. Their stuff is the most pure. I need a microdose right now of lemon balm tea. Microdose. Such a trendy term. And people love that term, Say, well, you just take a little bit of something. The human mind just doesn't give a shit about that. Doesn't even care. Like, take a little bit of something, right? No one wants to hear that. What people want to hear is microdose. And all of a sudden, they're like zombies. Like, microdose? That's scientific. That must be something important. Oh, microdose the shrooms. Microdose this. Microdose that. And then now the microdosing went into, like, the health realm on different things. Like, microdose peptides. Whatever. The same old crap going around and around and around. Okay.